The definition of diversity, according to Queensborough Community College, is the range of human differences that can be used to differentiate groups and people from one another. It is about respecting and appreciating, not just tolerating, what makes others different, including age, gender, ethnicity, religion, disability, sexual orientation, education, and national origin. When you hear the term diversity, what comes to mind? When I hear diversity, many of the above words come to mind. However, one that is on my mind most often, and that we will be discussing today, is women, or being female. Welcome to my presentation on women in sport, gender, and its effects on female sport participation. My name is Victoria King, and today I'm going to be talking about how gender and being a female affects participation in sport due to the devaluation of female athletes, insufficient support systems, lack of female role models, and women not supporting women. We will explore historical instances that have influenced the lack of female participation, the cycle of oppression that women in sport face, actions that we can take to make sure female participation in sport is a more significant part of our future, and community supports for female athletes and aspiring female athletes. History. The reduction of the worth and importance of female athletes is often overlooked and underappreciated. This is not a new concept. It has been around since women first started participating in sporting events. Females often have to work much harder for a shred of the recognition that men receive. Comments on female athletes' speed and prowess in their respective sport are less common than their male counterpart. More often, the attention women athletes garner is for their physique and beauty. Female athletes fight daily for proper recognition and equality to their male colleagues, and are repeatedly told they are not good enough, that they are too emotional, or they are being dramatic. You know, the term drama queen? That the only thing of value to them should be their beauty, not their success. Being criticized for what is considered normal behavior in men's sports. Does that frustrate you? With the Olympics' reinception in 1894, women were not allowed to compete, saying that they lacked the bronze and brains and that they were too fragile. In this time, women were still to be seen and not heard. Even after they were inducted, they could only participate in sports deemed fit for women at the time, which included golf, tennis, horse riding, and figure skating. Serena Williams was penalized for telling the referee of the 2018 Grand Slam that he owed her an apology for wrongfully calling her a cheat and costing her a point. After the game, which she lost, she said, "To lose a game for saying that is not fair. There's a lot of men out there that have said a lot of things, and because they are men, that doesn't happen." Basically saying that she was only penalized because she was a woman, blasting the referee and causing the Women's Tennis Association to release a statement the following day stating, "The WTA believes that there should be no difference in the standards of tolerance provided to the emotions expressed by men versus women, and is committed to working with the sport to ensure that all players are treated the same. We do not believe this was done last night." In the next slide, I'm going to play a video called Dream Crazier, and it's an ad shot by Nike, and it depicts the labels that people use to define women in sports, and how women need to keep pushing these boundaries until it changes the narrative.
If we show emotion, we're called dramatic. If we dream of equal opportunity, we're delusional. When we're too good, there's something wrong with us. And if we get angry, we're hysterical, irrational, or just being crazy. But a woman running a marathon was crazy.
Officials tried to pull her off the course.
A woman boxing was crazy. A woman dunking, coaching an NBA team, competing in a hijab, or winning 23 Grand Slams, having a baby, and then coming back for more. Crazy, 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 and crazy. So if they want to call you crazy, fine. Show them what crazy can do.
It's not just pro athletes being shut down in this way. It is at the college level as well. This year, 2021, the NCAA March Madness Collegiate Basketball Tournament happened for both men and women. However, instead of the narrative being on the teams playing and bracket talk, it was focused on the disparities between the men's bubble and the women's. Female student athletes were quick to point out the unequal treatment they were receiving from the NCAA with the quality of food, seen here as the men having what looks like a home-cooked meal versus the women have what appears to be a TV dinner style. Which looks more appealing to you? The items and amount of sponsored swag, and finally, in the fitness centers that were provided. This indicates that the reduction of worth between sexes is significant, as they are participating in the same sport, at the same level, at the same time, but the women are undervalued based on the supports and accommodations they are given. In the next slide, you will watch a video taken from Sedona Price, an Oregon basketball player's TikTok, and it shows the huge differences in weight rooms and calls out the NCAA to do better.
I got something to show y'all. So for the NCAA March Madness, the biggest tournament in college basketball for women, this is our weight room. Let me show y'all the men's weight room. Now, when pictures of our weight room got released versus the men's, the NCAA came out with a statement saying that it wasn't money, it was space that was a problem. Let me show y'all something else. Here's our practice court, right? And then here's that weight room. And then here's all this extra space. If you aren't upset about this problem, then you're a part of it.
In addition to the devaluation of female athletes, the available social support systems also affect sport participation. Social support is vital for people to thrive in society. That makes it especially important for women in sport. Sports are mentally tough and grueling on male athletes, who have the facilities, lack of stereotypes, and information of what sports can do for them to succeed. Comparatively, women in sport have less access to facilities, gender stereotypes to overcome, and a lack of understanding about what sports can do for them. They are less likely to continue on as they feel like they are continually being beat down and have less options to continue their passion for their sport. We have come a long way from when women were to be seen and not heard, but we haven't surpassed it by the leaps and bounds that everyone thinks. Women start at a severe disadvantage, and the gap only grows as they get older and continue to participate in sport. However, with access to facilities, the axing of gender stereotypes, and fulfilling their understanding of the advantages of sport, this problem could be mediated. Lack of access to playing facilities near where they live makes it more difficult for women to engage in sports. This causes the price of playing their sport to go up, as they will then need to travel, sometimes anywhere up to and past 2 hours, which doesn't include the return trip, and pay for the use of these facilities. Girls, who already have 1.3 million fewer opportunities to play high school sports than boys, are deciding that it's just not worth it to play. The most challenging hurdle to overcome is the gender stereotypes that accompany women in sport. As adolescents are introduced to sports, females have the toughest time overcoming adversity because of the rules for socially acceptable behavior. Women are still being looked upon as the weaker sex, with people telling them that they should not be lifting weights, sweating, grunting, or being aggressive, because these are all viewed as unladylike qualities. Female adolescents hear this and decide to drop out because being a strong, confident female athlete is still not normal. Female athletes lack the knowledge and understanding of how sports can help them. Sports foster teamwork, leadership, resilience, and respect. When coaches don't really care about the women's team or sport they are coaching, or make it less of a priority than, let's say, men's football, Girls are left feeling downtrodden and like they are falling through the cracks, as they are given little time and training in the mental aspect of the game. This can cause mental health problems and body image problems, with 30% of female student athletes showing signs of depression in 2016. The same goes with parents. If you keep telling your kid that sport and physical activity needs to be earned, they will eventually just give it up altogether. If parents and coaches put in more time with their female athletes and treated them the same as the boys' football team, more girls would stay involved in sport long term. Lack of role models is a significant factor that affects female participation in sport. Now, don't get me wrong, there are many female role models out there. The problem is that they do not cover every sport, nor are they always heard of. These female role models tend to fade into the background because people would rather support a more masculine-oriented narrative when it comes to the sports scene. If you don't follow the female sport, you probably never hear about its athletes. Little girls grow up watching men's hockey or any sport because that is what dominates Sportsnet and Hockey Night in Canada, not their female colleagues. Yes, little girls can have and look up to male athletes as role models, but shouldn't they have the option to watch someone that represents and looks just like them on TV in their respective sport? As Margie Worrell has said, I often wonder the different choices I would have made in my early years had I been in closer proximity to strong female role models who act and look like me. Role models are a real-life representation of what you can achieve and can make young women work harder and be more ambitious. A lack of these role models for women in sport causes them to rethink their dreams at a very young age and change course to chase something more easily attainable. The last effect of gender and female sports participation is women not supporting women, a part of both lack of support systems and lack of female role models. As women are underrepresented and undervalued in sport, it comes upon women to empower other women. Jealousy towards what other women accomplish in sport is a barrier that is self-made by women who choose not to or cannot do it themselves. This causes us to come to a standstill on the world stage instead of charging through and breaking barriers for all other female athletes. Caster Semenya is an example of the jealousy of other women. Her body produces higher levels of testosterone than normal, which according to those competing against her, makes her a man. Semenya identifies as a woman, but has been continually misgendered, and speculation has circled about whether she actually is a woman, as she appears more masculine than others. Italian runner Elisa Kuzma has even said, "These kind of people should not run with us. For me, she is not a woman. She is a man." Because of comments like these from other female athletes, testosterone testing has been okayed in the regulations, even though it is highly discriminatory. Comments that women make about other women, especially in Semenya's story, hold women back from advancing on the world sports stage. Imagine the possibilities that we as females could do if we looked past envy and empowered and pushed each other to overcome the prejudices and bullying women in sport face. Cycle of oppression. What kind of stereotypes and attitudes or beliefs have you heard about women in sport? I'm sure you've heard a lot of them, including all female athletes are butch, tomboy, or a lesbian. Women's sports don't matter. Why should girls be allowed to play on boys' teams, but boys can't play on girls' teams? Or, if a girl plays on a boys' team, all you hear is about how boys on the opposing team are going to make her wish she didn't. The outcomes of these stereotypes and beliefs is that women stop wanting to play sports, or stop wanting to break boundaries. That they are comfortable just playing feminine sports. It can cause an identity crisis when, as a girl, all you hear from the boys around you is that you're butch or you look like a man, all because you're an athlete for a stereotypically masculine sport. It has been ingrained in society to think of sports as having a genderness. Is it more male or female? This encourages women to accept physical limits that have been set for them instead of breaking through them. Because sports have always been this way, we think that it might as well stay that way, but it has negatively affected women and their participation in certain sports for years, making it harder to break through and overcome the stereotypes and discriminations that have plagued us. An example of a cycle of oppression that is relevant today in a lot of communities starts with a lack of facilities that are available for women's teams, as some teams have to travel over an hour away to even get court time. Now, since their facilities are over an hour away, they have a lack of transportation, as parents can't always drive them. Because of this, the cost of playing goes up exponentially, as they now have to pay for the use of the facility and also for their mode of transportation to get there. All of these contribute to a decreased quality of experience for female athletes, as it makes it no longer any fun to play, and they may not even be able to afford equipment to use. The end result is an increase in the number of females not participating in sports, which starts the cycle again at the top, because without the numbers, there will always be a lack of facilities. While researching for this presentation, I found out my topic was way deeper than I initially thought, and that I was only scratching the surface. After the research was done, I had the realization that I am in a unique position to help further female participation in sports. I have coached girls club volleyball for 6 years, and have never fully understood the impact that a coach can have on a player. But now that I know the rate of girls dropping out of sports, I want to help and be a part of the solution. Speaking out about the disparities that women in sport face is the first step. If people don't hear about it, how are they supposed to know and get behind what is going on? Just like with the female student athletes at March Madness, putting out videos of the differences between the men's and women's accommodations, change will come. Spoiler alert, the videos got so much press coverage that the NCAA changed the women's fitness area, and they even started to receive better food. Future actions that can be taken include getting more information out about ESPNW, the Entertainment and Sport Programming Network for Women, a way for aspiring female athletes to watch women play their sport, which will lead to a rise in role models, as well as making it the new normal to see women participating in sport and physical activity daily. I will do my best to be an ally and voice for female athletes in my community and those around me, as everyone deserves the same chances and to live out their dreams, whether it be on the court, field, or in the pool. I believe that this project will have a positive impact on my work with diverse clients in the future, as I will be more open and understanding about our differences and things that they may be experiencing. Some community supports that help improve the number of female athletes and aspiring young girls in sports include Women's Province-Wide Club Sports, includes Cats Club, Chiefs Hockey, Westman Rugby, and among others, as they encourage female athletes to participate in sports and gives them opportunities to pursue them at a higher level. The Canada Games Committee to wanting more gender equity. The Coaching Association of Canada helping create more coaches so that access to coaches for teams can be better. Sporting Associations of Canada, including hockey, volleyball, and softball, working towards more female sports involvement, and sports scholarship opportunities from colleges and universities, like ACC and BU, who are always looking for female athletes to compete on their varsity squads. Through these community supports, female athletes will continue to move forward and break barriers. Diversity is more than just where you come from, what color of skin you have, and the gender identity you use. Today we explored how gender affects participation in sport, but more specifically, how female athletes' devaluation, insufficient support systems, lack of role models, and women not supporting women affects female participation in sport, as well as the cycle of oppression they face, actions we can take to make female participation an integral part of our future, and community support systems that are in place to help achieve this. If we, as a society, can fix these basic factors, there is hope that women of the future can have a more significant role to play in sport. As it has been said, the most fundamental change that can be made is people's mindset towards women in sport, as it has long since ceased to be a man's game.
One day, we won't need this day. We won't need a day to celebrate how far we've come. We won't need a day to prove we're just as fast, or strong, or skilled. We won't need a day to relive the comebacks, the firsts, or the titles we've won. We won't need a day to rally behind the ones fighting to change the rules. One day, we won't need this day at all, because one day, this day, will be our everyday.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to my presentation.